What's going on, guys? My name is Sammy. This is going to be a quick video on how to use GitHub, how to create repositories, and just general rule of thumb around GitHub and how to really use it. So, basically, very simple. You just sign up, and you get to like a screen like this. Okay, it'll be like an overview screen. A lot of you would have nothing on there. If you've already signed up and stuff, that's fine. If you've created a repository, that's great. It's going to be general, very basic. So a repository is like a bucket, right? And that's what you're basically making. You're making a bucket to put all the water in. And basically the water is code, right? How you want to make the code, what compartments of the bucket you want to put it in. That's basically how this works. So let's go ahead and create a new repository. So it would be a little green button here. You press new and you can create a repository name. So let's call this test repo. Okay. And it'll ask you, it's available. And then you'll be like, hey, this is a test. This is a test. Now, this is very, very important. You can make it public or private. So the only reason you would make it private is if you don't want other people to see it in terms of in your organization or in other people on GitHub. It's very, very important that you want to choose public or private, because public, you'll be able to do a local host deployment. So that basically means you'll be able to host it online, without any problems or any issues. If you do it private, you'll need a key in order to enter because it is a private GitHub. So whenever you're, on your CLI, you have to get that password or that code in order to do that. So we're going to keep it public for now. You can add a README file. Most of the time, you want to add a README file. You don't need a git ignore unless you're really working on something, a little bit more sophisticated and complex. It's just like it tells things for GitHub not to like mess with it, like, oh, it just ignores it. So if you want like more of README files or whatever you want to use. So you could choose a license. The most important thing to do is probably Apache license 2.0. That's the best one. And that's it. Create your repo. Simple as that. This is where it gets kind of, a little confusing. So you see a whole bunch of stuff. Okay. You're like, what am I looking at? Automatically your eye goes to the code, the little green button, right? So this is how the reason it's green is because this is how you add code. This is how you work on your code. Okay, so you press code and you have three different ways. So if you're on a MacBook, I definitely suggest you using Open GitHub Desktop. It's super simple, super easy. You'll be able to clone. Here says URL. You just press clone and it'll automatically take you to the GitHub Desktop down here. It'll take you to the GitHub Desktop. That's what this looks like. And you'll be able to open in Visual Studio and you could work on your code from there and pull it, push, request, anything you need from there. So here, that's what you could do. Another way to do it is to copy your SSH and put it in a CLI, and then you git clone, and then you just paste that in there, and it'll copy the entire thing for you if it's public. And you can work on your code there. You don't work on code in GitHub. Like you can, but nobody does that. So that's what you could do. That's the number one thing. Here is the second thing that you need to really, really watch out for is the main branch. So you have a whole bunch of branches that you can make. You can make a lot of different branches. The reason you make branches is because you don't want to push everything to main. That's the number one thing you don't want to do is push everything to main. The reason being, you want to compartmentalize your code. Okay, that's the number one thing you need to do is compartmentalize your code. What does that mean? Don't throw everything into the bucket and just call it water. Okay, because some water you want to flavor it different, or some you want to change it up and you want to make it into like a product, right? You don't want it just to be a bucket of water, right? So that's the whole point is you want to make it compartments. So you would just come here, right? And you'd view all the branches and you'd create a new branch. Okay, and then you create a new branch, test branch, create a new branch. And now you have this branch that you could use. So you go back to code and then you switch. Now you see here it is. You switch it, excuse me. And now you could work on this branch. Now you could open GitHub, you could, clone it. There's nothing going to be in it. And then you could type away. You can create whatever you want. Again, the whole purpose of that, compartmentalize. After you do that, you could push all of your code to test branch and then merge. Whenever you really finish, you can merge everything with main. Okay. Pushing is basically, imagine yourself pushing the code. Pulling the code would be you pulling the code, literally. So if I had this branch, this test branch, and there was already a whole bunch of stuff on it, and I didn't work on it, somebody else did, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what they did, you could do a pull request, right? You could request, hey, I want to see the code, what you did, and then it'll be approved, and you could check all the code, and then you could do a push request. You can push all your code, be like, I finished. Someone can approve it because you don't want to just like go willy nilly with it, and you can just approve it, call it a day, and that's how it goes. So you got a push request, a pull request, and then merge. Merging branches you do at the end of all projects. Okay. Another tip is whenever you're working on a project, you always want to have two separate projects. You could do one altogether, but you want to have two separate repositories. You want to have a front end repository and a back end repository. That's really systematically just for compartmentalizing, as I said. It's for seamless deployments. It's super, super easy and super simple to do it that way. If you do it all in one, like if you did one branch that's back end, one branch that's front end, does not work. But yeah, this is basically a super simple overview. I missed a whole bunch of stuff, but I just wanted to kind of get a grasp on what it is that GitHub is. Next video, I will talk a little bit more in depth about how to pull, how to push code, how to clone your repository, how to do all that stuff. I just want to keep it really simple for now, and please let me know what you guys think. And yeah, thank you.